Hey guys, and welcome to this DIY for designer inspired t-shirt for the summer. I actually saw a shirt pretty similar to this in Lord&Taylor the other day, except it was $60-something. I decided not to spend the money and make my own. So first you're going to need a scoop neck t-shirt, not too tight around your neck or not too v-neck. This will look the best. Then you'll need some fabric to fill in the back. The pink one is chiffon and the patterned one is a rayon. Then you'll need a ruler. Inches or centimeters, it doesn't really matter, but I prefer both so I can get the most accurate measurement. Then you'll need some pretty sharp scissors. None of the zigzag or circular ones. It just makes it easier to cut straight. And then you'll need a pen or a pencil. As I found out, pen works better. Here's how I'm pairing my fabrics with the t-shirts. I'm using the pink chiffon with the green and the pattern with the gray. The original shirt was a gray t-shirt with hot pink chiffon. I could have done this, but I couldn't really find any hot pink chiffon, and I like the pattern a lot better. Now you're going to want to draw some straight lines. Every place you draw, you might want to make sure it's mark 3 places on the ruler so you get the straightest line possible when you connect the lines. And make sure that the measurement from the seam to the line you draw is even on both sides so you get the most even symmetrical look for your back as possible. Then you're going to want to draw a straight line down so that you have an even place to cut on. If you want to make sure you don't see any pen lines, then you're going to want to cut straight on the side of the line closest to the sleeves so you don't see the pen lines. However, I had mine under so I don't see this. Now drawing the cowl neck in the back will make it easier to sew onto. You might want to do 1 inch to a half an inch away from the neck. Now just cutting up both sides, I make even cuts on each side at a time, so I make sure it's as even as possible. Then for the cowl, I'm just going to kind of edit what I sketched out while I cut it so it's an even circular shape. Now I'm just going to measure the space between the cowl back and the way bottom of the shirt and then the side to side. I'm going to write these down along with a sketch of the shirt so I know how much to cut. And I'm going to add a couple of inches on each measurement so I make sure I have extra fabric to work with. I did 4 inches for top to bottom and 2 inches for side to side, but you might want to add 4 to 6 inches for both. It just makes things easier. Now I'm going to measure out my fabric along with marking some things. I marked them in pencil originally, but you might want to use pen so it's easier to see, especially if it's on a pattern. Overall, I probably should have used chalk because that would have been the easiest, but I didn't have any on hand. Now I'm going to just cut this out along my ruler after drawing completely straight lines. I'm going to cut exactly on these lines because you're not going to see the lines anyway after you sew the t-shirt over it. Now you're going to want to make sure you draw a complete rectangle. And you might want to double check the measurements because I cut mine a little bit uneven and it took me and my mom to figure out how to make it look good. And you're going to want to make sure you don't have any folds in your fabric when you're cutting because that will just make those little ugly ridgy cuts, and the straighter your fabric, the straighter the cut and the better it looks. Now I'm just going to measure out this fabric against the gray fabric that I took out of the back of the shirt. I decided I'm going to take a couple of inches off the bottom because the shirt is really long on me since I got an extra large. So I cut off, I think, 7 inches. I cut off only 5 inches on the back, but I cut off 7 inches on the actual shirt so it will all look even. Now I'm going to lay out the shirt upside down so I can lay out the, oh wait, no, sorry. I'm cutting off the bottom of the shirt now. I'm cutting off 7 inches here. And then I'm going to draw a straight line across from the front seam to seam. And then I'm just going to kind of eyeball the back. If you know you can't cut straight lines on your own, don't just eyeball it, draw a straight line. But however, I was pretty confident in making a straight cut from seam to side, so I just kind of cut it. Now I laid out the fabric underneath the edge of the shirt so I can kind of see what I was doing. Here's the thread I'm going to be using, and it's a great hot pink color because I want to be able to see the thread that I sew on. Now, using some pins, I'm going to pin down the sides and the neck so it's easier to kind of sew on. While I'm pinning it down, I'm going to kind of make a hem and I'm going to edit the hem as I go from thinner to thicker to make sure it's completely straight. Now here in this part, you could see me pinning it down. However, I had a lot of issues pinning because, I don't know, I can't pin in a straight line too well, and I kept on poking myself. So before my mom sewed it in for me, because she's awesome, she had to kind of fix it up a little bit so it all looked correct, I guess. I'm not really so sewing savvy. I can hand sew things, but I just can't sew on the sewing machine, and that's the kind of look I was going for. However, if you would like to, you can sew this by hand. It's really up to you, but that would have taken a lot longer, and I really wanted to put my shirt on. This video took like an hour to make. It took a little bit longer to make the shirt because I was pinning things multiple times and clicking on and off my camera a lot. So just keep that in mind when making it. It's not a fast process. It would have been a lot longer if I hand sewed the shirt. And here are just a few clips of my mom sewing it in for me because I'm not so savvy with the sewing machine. I'm actually kind of afraid since I saw the Samantha American Girl movie where the kid pokes himself through the hand with the needle. You know, it's not the 20s anymore or like the 50s or whatever, but yeah. So just keep a steady hand if you're sewing this by hand so you make a straight sew. But if you are sewing this with a sewing machine, watch the needle because I don't want anyone to get hurt. My mom also sewed a hem at the bottom of the shirt. However, this part is completely optional. I just did it so it was a cleaner cut. Okay guys, so here's some pictures of me in the shirt. I really like how it came out, and I actually love the pattern of the fabric. It reminds me of some Betsy Johnson or Vera Bradley pattern. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. Good luck, and post a video response so I can see how your shirt came out. Bye guys!